off early this morning because I had to take the laser level. I've got to do some layout, and I want to get that done before I've got the masons forming up the walkways under the porches, and I've got to get it laid out a little bit more so they can continue putting up their forms and everything else. And it's just easier to do if I'm there, you know, without anybody else.
I'm tired of the cynical life you lead. So tired of the consequences of your greed. Following a road that's paved with shiny gold.
See that? I'll tell you what that is after. It's not gas, it's not oil. Yeah, the car thinks the container over there is somebody sitting there without a seatbelt. It'd have to be an awful little person sitting there.
Leaving all of us behind, leftovers. You see enemies at every turn. So long as you're winning, you let the whole.
So what this is a gallon of pure Eleuthera honey. I bought it by the gallon because the guy sells it a little bit cheaper than if you were buying it by the 16-ounce pieces, and we use it, so it's not gonna go, it doesn't go bad anyway. So this way I've got a gallon of honey, and this is local honey, which is supposed to be better for you and all that kind of stuff. So it's really good. You can tell it's a darker color. So there's two guys on this island who make honey. And I'm not sure if the other guy sells it in big quantities, but this one does sell it in a gallon. So Sid and I got a gallon of it, and it ought to last a week or two. There's some funny things. I was just telling Sid about this. The guys asked me for this stuff a little while ago called man in a can. And I'm like, what is this man in a can? I've never heard of such a thing. I've done construction. Everybody uses it. Everybody knows what man in a can is. And I said, I've never heard of man in a can. What is it? It's like a wood putty stuff. So I didn't know what they were talking about. I thought about it for a while. And I was like, I wonder if they mean Durham's wood putty. It's a wood putty that comes in a can, and it's a powder, and you mix it with water. So today when I was down at Unique's, I'm looking around waiting to get, which is a second part of this story. And I look up on the shelf, and yes, there it is, the Durham's wood putty. And what it is, there's a guy, you know, like this, holding his arms up, and yes, is a man, and he's on a can. But the reason I had gone there was they sent me to go get this stuff called blackjack. Todd, go get 2 gallons of blackjack. So I go in and I said, I need some blackjack. What is that? I said, it's like a tarry, cementy kind of stuff. I know I've gotten it here before. We don't have anything that's called blackjack. I said, well, do you have anything that's sort of tarry, a little rubbery? You mix it with they mix it with gasoline and they put it on the bottom of the post. Oh, you mean roofing tar. So a lot of times there's like translation issues, shall we say, and you have to work around all those, and then you learn, okay, man in a can, blackjack, what they really are. But okay, I stopped at home, did a quick one. I got some finish head trim screws, which I needed for to really make sure the breadboard ends on the tables were done. Did that, puttied those with Sid, gave it a quick light sanding, and it'll be ready for the last coat of polyurethane. Then that'll be done. So tomorrow that'll be finished. Next I've got to run to Eleuthera Supply, pick up some grinder blades, which I don't really have to be in a rush for because the power's out. Can't use a grinder.
World burn. Get out of my head. How did you get there? Get out of my head. How did you get there? I'm tired.
Morning was going great, and then we had a little personnel issue, shall we say. Long story, but the long and short of it is, when somebody threatens me, yeah, I take that real personal. And I asked for a simple request for them to do, and they threatened me. It wasn't with bodily harm or any of that kind of stuff. But no, that's the end of that. I'm not going to put up, I've never put up with anybody threatening me. And, you know, I don't usually lose it. I try to usually keep it really, but this person just pushed the wrong button, and boy, I went off. It doesn't happen often, like I say, but it does happen.
Your righteousness aimed at me. So bored by your delirious fantasies.
Interesting day. I had fun with different people at work, as you might remember. And then I was supposed to get an order of 2 pallets of paint. And nobody knows where the paint are. 2 pallets, not 2 5-gallon buckets, 2 pallets of paint. I don't know. So, been one of those days.
You see enemy.
Okay, the last time I tried this, there was something wrong with the microphone, or I don't know what it was. But I'm testing this. I'm going to try it right now. Okay, trying this again. Just keep this in mind. Things happen. You throw a rock in a pool of water, the ripples don't hit the shore immediately, do they? Anyway. Keep that in mind, earlier conversations. Another big news thing today, the VAT was announced, the VAT tax here, was announced that it's going up to 12%. It's now at 7.5%. It's going to go to 12% as of July 1st. So this is going to be one of those really hard to swallow things, because 12%. Without substantial raises across the board, the average local person here has lost 12% of their buying power. So if they go to, say, the grocery store, and they're going to buy $100 worth of food, they can't buy, after July 1st, $100 worth of food. They can buy $88 worth of food because there's $12 tax that would go on there. So that's not a great thing. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, or any of the things that go with that, but it's not going to be a good thing. Now, I understand that the government in the Bahamas has to increase its revenue. They also, years ago I had talks with the VAT people from Nassau, and they wouldn't come right out and say it, but the indicators were there that this VAT tax is going to increase more than this 12%. It's not going to stay at 12%. My guess is we're going to end up somewhere in the probably 20% range. So that's going to be that's a whole nother story. Be years down the road probably. This is the 4th year for VAT. So they stayed 4 years at 7.5 till they moved to 12. My guess is that probably in 3 years, maybe 4 again, they'll jump to somewhere around 15 to 17%, and then they'll make the final one to, well, God only knows, 20 or above, and that's where it'll sit. And when that VAT tax gets to that ultimate level, what'll happen is customs will disappear. not the custom duties will disappear. So in our case, you'll still pay the shipping for stuff coming in, and you'll pay the 20% tax or whatever it's going to be, but you won't pay like the 45% duty for importing stuff and that kind of thing. So that will be eliminated. So, you know, to give you an idea, if you at present, if you bought, say, this couch right here was worth like $100, by the time I actually get it here, it's closer to 200. If you remember the door we put in that I got from Lowe's last week and we put in the other day, that door was $249 at Lowe's in Florida. By the time I actually had it to put it in, much closer to $500 for that one door. So that will even out somewhat, but without raises to compensate for that, people here are going to lose their buying power. The other part of that is that on the tourist economy, what's going to happen is that it's going to cost you another 4.5% when you go out to eat. So your bill's going to be even higher due to that. Or if you rent a car, you know, now renting a car, if the person you rent from charges that, say it's a $500 car rental. Well, now it's going to be $560 because of the 12% after July. Is that going to hurt the economy and tourism? I'm not sure how that's going to be viewed. It's going to definitely increase the costs. So will people start to say, it's too expensive there, we need to look someplace else? I don't know. I don't know those answers. I know the government has to do something to make money, because this government, like all governments, overspends their money. They never have enough. They have to borrow. And this is why this whole VAT thing has come into play, because just like anybody else, if I go to the bank or you go to the bank wants certain requirements. Okay, do you have this? Do you have that? When the Bahamas or any other government, they want to see some type of reference. And one of those references, you know, the World Banking Organization wants to see is an accounting taxation system that's more modern, that gets away from the customs and the duties and stuff like that. So what's going to happen over time? I haven't the vaguest idea. Will it all come out in the wash? Again, I don't know. But I know in the short term, it's going to hurt a lot of the local people, because it's a new increase in tax by 4.5%. So now you're going to be paying July 1st, 12%. But breadbasket items are down to 0%. Breadbasket, if you're not familiar with that, it's like milk, cheese, margarine, you know, basic items like that. Everything else is going to have the same 12% added to it. So if you go to the grocery store and you buy Pringles, that's going to be whatever the cost is plus 12%. If you buy bread, that's bread basket. There won't be the 12% tax on top of that. But so that's a little bit of a plus. It'll help people to a degree. But there's some silly things on there, like corned beef is going to be 0 VAT. Corned beef is good for you in a can? I don't think so. What about margarine? I've never heard any reports that say margarine's good for you. So a lot of the items on that bread basket aren't the best choices of foods. But it is what it is. What's going to happen down the road? That I don't know. Time will tell.
At every turn, so long as you're